So good morning, everyone. This is AMs with Annette, your UK business update. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, this session is Monday to Thursday at 11 a.m. UK. Apologies for this slightly late start today. We are a little bit later in starting this morning, but I have a number of things to cover off with you today. So thank you for hopping on whichever platform you are watching on today. I do very, very much appreciate you coming on as always. So thank you for doing that. Thank you for coming on with me. And do give me a hello in the comments wherever you are tuning in from. I would love to know that you are here. So please do give me a hello, whichever platform you are on this morning. It would be good to hear from you. So this is AMs with Annette, your UK business update. I'm going to start off with the auto industry. 1/6 of auto jobs are at risk once furlough ends, we are hearing. And there is a warning that post-Brexit tariffs with the EU would push UK car output to 1950s levels. A third of the workforce in the auto industry remains furloughed at this point in time, and analysts expect that global car output won't return to pre-crisis levels until 2023. So we've got a problem, obviously, there with that industry. Of course, that industry is not alone in facing some big issues. But of course, we are hearing that the auto industry will be further impacted in quite a major way by tariffs, by Brexit tariffs potentially as well. So a bit of a problem there for the auto industry. And, and there's a big question of how can we turn that around? And at the moment, we just really don't know, unfortunately. MF James, thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it. No, I do not want to try a song this morning. Thank you. I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave the singing, I think. Thanks for that, though. That did make me laugh. Michael, thanks for joining. Ems and Chessie, thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate it. Thank you for everyone who is hopping on. Who else do we have? We also have, we have Paul. Paul, thank you for joining me. Thanks for tuning in inside the Uncover Wealth community. I do appreciate you tuning in. So Andrew Bailey, he knows this morning. Andrew Bailey, the Bank of England governor, has said that the government would have run out of money in the middle of March had the Bank of England not intervened. And the prospects would have been very bad. Andrew Bailey is saying we are facing a serious disorder when it comes to the country's finances, unfortunately. And we're also hearing of another casualty into administration. JD Sports has appointed administrators for Go Outdoors, one of its brands, which employs 2,400 people. So unfortunately, more people we are hearing will be potentially losing their jobs there as well. Potential redundancies happening there now as a result. Excuse me. Sajid Javid, the former Chancellor, is calling for a reduction in employers' national insurance to secure recovery and reduce job losses. This is something we've been hearing bandied about for a few days now, is a potential cut in employers' national insurance to encourage employers to keep staff on as we come out of the furlough periods. So again, time will tell on this. We are due, of course, to have some kind of statement, although it is not being called a mini budget in July time. That is being downplayed, as I say, not as a mini budget, but of course, we are then expected to have the budget come the autumn as well. So we will, of course, wait to hear on that too. Hey, Justin, I am based in the UK. I am currently living in Scotland. That is where I am from. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in. I do very much appreciate it. I also appreciate all the hearts, the shares, the thumbs up, the likes, the love, whichever platform you are on. I very, very much appreciate all that. So thank you so much for doing all that, and the follows as well. If you're finding this this session and you have followed me as a result, thank you so much for that. I do very, very much appreciate it. House prices, they are predicting a drop in UK house prices of between 5 and 11% this year. I think this will be an interesting one to watch, because I do wonder what the disparity between city living and country living might be, if we might expect to see drops in house prices in city centres, where people now have said, actually, I don't want to be in a city should this happen again. I want more space, etc., etc. Therefore, I'm going to move more towards the country, and perhaps house prices in the country may react differently to city centres. That will be one to watch to see what happens there. We just don't know at the moment, but I do wonder if that is going to be the situation. Grocery sales grew 18.9% in the 4 weeks to the 14th of June. The major driver of this was online sales, which accounted for an increase of 91% over the last month. And over the entire lockdown, we have seen supermarket sales increase by 13.7%. Of course, in the UK, we are a nation of shoppers, and therefore people hitting the only shops that were available at that time and hitting the supermarkets. Of course, we also got increased delivery slots as well as time went by, and therefore we've seen that increase in the online aspect too as well. Now, what I want to share with you now are a number of policy tweaks that are being suggested to rescue the economy. Now, these are tweaks that are being suggested by various people. These are not things that have been approved or agreed into the tax system in any way, but I thought these were really interesting to share as some potential options that may or may not be considered by the Treasury as well. So potential policy tweaks being suggested by a number of people. So Philip Booth, Dean of the Faculty of Education, Humanities and Social Sciences at St Mary's University, Twickenham, and a Senior Academic Fellow at the Institute of Economic Affairs, has suggested the abolition of corporation tax. He says that this system is no longer fit for purpose, and instead we should be taxing the owners wherever they live on dividends. He said this would completely destroy the tax avoidance industry. Of course, an entire industry has been set up around assisting particularly big corporations, big UK businesses, to avoid corporation tax. And this suggestion by Philip Booth is very, very interesting, where he's saying, actually just get rid of it altogether. We'll just tax the dividends at a higher rate, regardless of where the individual lives, and we will make money that way, and probably more money. So interesting suggestion by Philip Booth there. The next suggestion comes from Justine Delroy, Head of Tax and Restructuring at Aldershot Goddard. Justine says there's been a huge rise, of course, as we know, in 0 hours contracts over the last few years. And of course, we also know that wages are deductible against corporation tax. So Justine has suggested increasing this deduction for every guaranteed day of work per week. So instead of getting a 100% reduction for the wages against corporation tax, perhaps you get 110% if you guarantee 1 day, or 120% if you guarantee 2 days. So that's an interesting option as well. And she is saying that it could target industries that typically have 0 hours contracts, so you could allow them for those industries. So very interesting policy tweak suggestion there from her. We are also Tom Clougherty, I think is how you pronounce his name, Head of Tax and at the Centre of Policy Studies, is suggesting a scrap on stamp duty. Of course, this may play into the point that I said earlier about reducing the reduction in house prices. Potentially that would therefore mean that we would have a situation where that might not be quite so strongly felt, and we might manage to keep the housing market a little bit more buoyant if that was introduced. That suggestion from Tom Clarity there. Another suggestion that has come in is from Robert Palmer, the Executive Director of Tax Justice UK, who is saying it is time to tax wealth better. He's saying that we need to change how we tax income from wealth, such as capital gains, and we also need pension tax relief changes for the highest earners. So his focus is on actually getting the tax revenue from the wealthier side, because again, they typically tend to be people who are able to avoid tax at a higher in a higher way than most ordinary people. Good morning, Sapphire. Thank you for tuning in. Anyone who is tuning in just now, these are not changes that have been put into place. These are policy tweaks that are being suggested by a number of different people that I am speaking about at the moment. So this is not a fact. This is not in law. These are suggested tax policy tweaks to stimulate the economy and to get the economy recovering faster. Another suggestion, this one comes from Matt, I don't know Matt's surname, Matt Killeney, maybe, who is, apologies if I've messed that up, who's the Deputy Director of Adam Smith Institute. Matt is suggesting a change in tax treatment of asset purchases. So, of course, at the moment, when you purchase general expenses, you get a deduction for corporation tax. But when you purchase assets, they go into the balance sheet and you only get to take a certain amount per year into as a deduction for your tax. So what Matt is suggesting is that we have a change to that system, and when businesses purchase assets, they can claim 100% of the cost in the year that they do. Yeah, absolutely. I think some of these are interesting ideas. They are some of them are good ideas. Absolutely. So it will be interesting to see if any of these are taken up. Another suggestion. This one is very interesting. So this one comes from Paul Bosang, head of real estate tax at Eversheds Sunderland. Paul is playing into the fact that the UK population, UK individuals like to shop, like to spend money and like to shop. And he is suggesting that every taxpayer should be sent a £300 free gift income tax rebate, locked into what he's calling a bounce back card to spend on non-essential shops. So he's basically saying every single taxpayer, we should send them basically a prepaid card, which has £300 on it. It's basically a tax rebate, but they have to spend that in non-essential shops to fuel spending in the economy. Great idea by Paul there. Not sure it will catch on, but I love it all the same. I think it's an incredible idea, and it's a great suggestion of actually thinking outside the box for things that might work to help stimulate the economy. It would be amazing if we saw that. I would love to see that happening. I'm not sure it will do, but I think it's an incredible idea. So those are, as I say, a number of ideas that have been put forward and suggested as policy tweaks to help rescue the economy, to help encourage spending, and to move the UK forward in terms of its economic recovery. So some interesting suggestions there. Of course, some of you may have some of your own ideas as to what that might be, as to what might encourage spending. We have heard murmurings of a reduction in VAT and what that might mean. The arguments are that that's not going to have a huge impact. People are not going to feel that so much. And then, of course, you put an increased admin burden on companies who are going to have to change their back-end systems and their pricing that's out and all that kind of stuff. If we do have a reduction in VAT, companies already with increased costs and reduced footfall, and then putting an additional burden on them might be problematic as well. Yeah, they are still interesting, Marty. Absolutely. They are still interesting nonetheless. So yeah, it's an interesting one. So this is AMs with Annette. This is your UK business update. I am live Mondays to Thursdays at 11 a.m. UK, where I share all relevant things that are happening in the UK at the moment around business, whether that's the economy, the banks, the government support available, tax situations, Brexit potentially as well, whatever that might be. That is what I am sharing on AMs with Annette. So I do appreciate you tuning in and joining me today. Now, I would also love to invite you to Training Tuesday today. Training Tuesday is my weekly session that I do inside my private and free Facebook community. Today's Training Tuesday is the topic is increased revenue with a company-wide approach to customer experience. That is happening, as I say, today inside the Uncover Wealth community. If you want to join the Uncover Wealth community, I would love to have you in there. If you are a business owner or entrepreneur, you just need to go to Facebook and put Uncover Wealth community into the search bar, and you can answer the questions and hit join on that group. Also, on a number of the channels, the link to the Uncover Wealth community is in my bio. If you are on Periscope, Twitter, Instagram, or TikTok, the link will be in my bio, so you can click and come through there. That is happening today at 1:30 p.m. UK. But if you can't make it live, then you can always catch up on the replay, which is going to stay in the group as well. So you can tune in there as well. So that is the Uncover Wealth community on Facebook, where I will be doing my training Tuesday later today. So do mark that in your diary. Do hop in. I would love to see you there. Also, of course, I am back again here, same time, same place tomorrow, 11 a.m. UK time, for another AMs with Annette UK business update. Once again, thank you for the shares, the likes, the loves, the follows, all those things that you are doing on whichever platform you're watching. I'm massively, massively appreciative of it. So thank you so much for that. That is all I have to share with you today. So thanks for tuning in. If you come in halfway through and you want to catch the rest of it, of course, on most of the channels you're on, you can catch the replay on Instagram. This replay goes into IGTV. And if, of course, you are on TikTok, you can come over to one of my other platforms. The link for both Instagram and YouTube are in my bio. So you can catch the replay on either of those TikTok for you. So once again, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for hopping on. I appreciate your time. I know it's incredibly precious, and thank you for spending some